windy day here in downtown West with St. Louis City SC. We just wrapped up a pre-match press conference getting ready to host the Vancouver Whitecaps this weekend. And I get on here a lot, I talk about must-win games. A win against the Whitecaps is not a must-win. They're the leaders of the Supporting Shield. They scored 5 goals, 4 from Brian White last weekend. But there was a renewed sense of energy around training this week of the performance that St. Louis put together against Columbus and of the progress that they kind of saw in that match. And I think while this match against Vancouver is not a must-win, but you are kind of running out of time. It's not a must-win, but it is a match where you desperately need to show and continue on the progress that you showed against Columbus last week. I think, if you look at how João Klaus played, this is one of João Klaus' best games ever in St. Louis last week. Should have had a second goal, whatever. We're not going to get into it. If you look at kind of how the strikers played in general, Simon Betcher coming off the bench had a very good game. And I think, for them, it's going to be important, of course, to limit opportunities. But when you look at what they've allowed this season, they've only allowed 6 great expected goal opportunities, which just means they've allowed 6 shots that were expected to be a goal in that kind of higher threshold, and they thrive on allowing low XG opportunities. I think against Vancouver, that is going to be quite an interesting matchup because Vancouver scored a lot from being close. They scored 4 of their 5 goals last week from great XG opportunities. And again, Brian White, his average goal is from right in front of the box, right in front of the net this year. So it's such an interesting clash of styles when you consider how St. Louis played well against Columbus and how they want to play against Vancouver. St. Louis only had 33% possession last week. That's a good thing for a team that wants to attack on the counter, that wants to kind of absorb the pressure to be able to counter forward. And they won some balls higher up the pitch in a way that they hadn't in the last couple of weeks. So you have to take the momentum that you have from that game, playing such a great team in Wilfred Nancy's Columbus Crew, and then against Vancouver, who have just been on an absolute tear under Jesper Sorensen, but have had a lot of games recently, are potentially looking ahead to their Inter-Miami match in the CONCACAF Champions Cup on Thursday. There are reasons for St. Louis to think that they can come in here, continue the momentum they had from last week, and pull off a win or pull off a result. And I think with this energy right now, you had to follow through on that. Because if you lose, if you come out flat, if you have a disappointing performance against Vancouver, now you're looking at, okay, they have to make a move before the trade window closes. They have to bring in reinforcements this summer. And they're not running out of time, but you're going to get to a situation where you were in last year where you need to be nearly perfect in the run-up to the end of the season. And they do not want to be in that situation again.